India versus Australia in renewable energy right now. Who is managing the transition better?
Our entire state is not only fully powered by solar, but it's fully powered by rooftop solar.
Elon Musk built the 100 megawatt in 100 days in South Australia. What changed?
100 megawatts in 100 days. These times we're doing 30 megawatts per day, a gigawatt hour per month.
Shed more light on the debt that you had to take.
I took on a big loan. I probably persisted with something which wasn't working for far too long.
When a household or a factory get a $100 bill, where is that $100 actually going?
A third goes to fixed charges, a third goes to energy charges, a third goes to peak demand charges.
Three things that they should not repeat.
Buying product that's not going to fail, because if you do, then it can lead to your business falling over very, very quickly.
Solar or wind? Your personal 20-year bet. One word.
Solar. Everyone loves a sunny day. And also you can put it anywhere.
Biggest mistake solar industry ever made globally? Go, tell me.
Making panels so cheap that you can't make any money off them.
5 installers, all look identical, same PPT, same brochure, shortlist them.
First and foremost, choose your solar retailer and choose the retailer well.
If you have to define Warwick Johnston in one word, and not Woracle, not the data guy, the real Warwick, what would that be? Three things. Today's episode, you will get to know 3 things, and at least one will change something that you thought already settled. Number 1, more sun, more land, yet 7 years behind. India has more sunlight than Australia, still 7 years behind. That should make you uncomfortable. One man, Australian, 4.2 million installation tracked. No PPA to sell, no developer to protect, only data. Today, he's gonna tell you what he saw in Australia and what we can learn from that market. Number 2, entire cities on 100% rooftop solar, and India still gets it wrong. Australia's cities are 100% rooftop solar. Everyone called it uncontrollable. They synchronize it with the storage. The piece that India is yet to figure it out. Australia moved storage 5 years ago. Also, the manufacturer who is yet to enter Australia want to know how they can enter. Learn it from this man who has seen every manufacturer enter the Australian market and yet fail. Number 3, how to know if your developer, solar installer, manufacturer is real before you sign up. 10 developers, 10 installers, same PPT, same brochure. What are the things that you need to look out to decode who can actually deliver you? Warwick in this podcast decoded beautifully. Watch it to understand how you can decode before you sign up for a solar deal. 3 takeaways, 1 Australian, 1 Indian, 60-minute conversation. If this is the conversation or the thinking that you want more of, press the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so that you get real-time updates. Warwick Johnston, Managing Director, SunWiz. Let's go. All right, Warwick, thank you so much for joining in. And in 2005, solar market was just probably 1%, and you moved from engineering to join a small company in Melbourne. What did you saw that no one else saw that?
For me at that time, it was really a passion and a desire to contribute to the world in a way which is environmentally beneficial that had me interested in moving into solar. And as it turned out, my grandfather had been involved in coal energy in Australia. My father had been involved in oil and gas. And so the combination of desire to benefit the environment and energy, I think meets and intersects nicely with solar power, don't you think?
Okay, but why a small company? Like from engineering, what was the exact moment? Can you tell me the exact day when you decided? Was the decision easy, tough? How did you make that decision? I want to know a man behind the data.
So in 2004, I decided I didn't want to be involved in telecommunications engineering anymore, and that I wanted to spend a year traveling the world by bicycle. And I left with my father asking with some concern, what are you going to do for work? And I said to him, I think I'll go and find work in Germany in the solar industry. And he says, son, I think it's going to be very, very hard for you to transfer industries and countries at the same time. And I said, I'm going to prove you wrong, Dad. And well, it turns out my father was right. I came back a year later, having had a great experience, but realizing that, well, if I was going to transfer career, I really was going to have much better time of it in Australia. The reason I joined a small company, which at that stage had already been going for 30 years, was purely because that was who was willing to take a bet on a junior. They'd already nurtured a whole degree of talent through early stages of their career. And I basically networked my way into the industry. And that
Okay.
champion saw the potential of having an engineer apply their skills to what was still a very much a cottage industry. And so that's why I joined Going Solar way back then.
Understood. And you call yourself a naively optimistic person, and generally naive people get destroyed. So, are you generally naive, or are you a calculated analyst?
Oh, I think I've had enough experience and hard knocks to realize that those moments where I am wildly optimistic probably won't come true, and as much as I'd still like to indulge them. So I've got a lot of dose of reality these days.
Okay, I want to know about these hard knocks that you're talking about. Can you tell me any of the hard knock which you still uh, couldn't, and if you imagine you can't sleep up with?
Look, I think I was very fortunate with starting SunWiz that I had a strong degree of success from the start.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think as a result of that, I figured that I had some genius gift or Midas touch, and that everything I would turn to gold. And coming school came easily to me, university came easily to me, and so I just generally had this belief that everything I do will turn out well. And of course, it's
Right.
not all like that, right? I've definitely tried some things in my business which haven't worked, and have left me saddled with a great deal of debt, which I'm still it still drags me back a bit, if you like. So there's definitely been moments with products which I think and services which I think would have gone far better than they did. Where I've had to realize, no, we're going to not do that one anymore, and I'll learn from this.
Okay. And like, can you shed more light on the debt that you had to take? When did you have to take? Is it repaid? How was it one of the biggest driver for you? For example, when I started Infinia, I had 2 crore rupees loan and no income, and for 3 years, 4 years, nothing hit my account. But today I feel that was a blessing in disguise, because that debt kept me rolling, wake me up every day, and continue despite feeling, getting rejections in the market. So I want to know your story on this, because this is something which very interesting that I want to get to know about you.
Yeah, thanks. Again, I was lucky and just fortunate to bootstrap myself through most of the early stages of SunWiz. So we founded SunWiz in 2009, and it wasn't really until COVID hit that I took on a big loan. And I was just fortunate, and I can tell you more about why that is and how I've managed to stay in business that whole time without much business training up until recently. But COVID struck, and there was government was handing out low cost money at that time, and I used that, and I think it provided me as a helpful buffer. But then I probably persisted with something which wasn't working for far too long, and by the time I pulled the pin, it was like, okay, cool. Well, now I've got to revert back to the core business, revert back to what we do really, really well, and scale everything back. And yes, the financial pressure isn't what drives me. It's not what motivates me. But yeah, it's there in the background, reminding me that you don't want to do that too often.
Understood. And now, what does drive you? Like, do you have any vision, mission? Is there anything that you're chasing on your personal side or on the business side? What drives you?
Look, the ultimate source of my motivation that I wake up each day with is wanting to contribute a healthy environment, healthy planet for the plants, animals, and people who don't have a say in that, right? And
Right.
that then gets applied to me through the solar industry. And where that intersects with some of my gifts and experience, I guess if you could call it that, is with doing market intelligence. So my belief is that well-informed businesses operate, they move faster. And in a climate emergency, we need everyone moving quickly in the right direction, right? And I don't know if you've had that experience in your business where you've looked and gone, oh, that fork in the road back there, I made a mistake. I went left when I should have gone right. If only I
Right.
had known at that point. And then you go like, well, I'm going to slow down, reverse back up and speed up again. And I could be so much further down the road. That's what we believe our information helps not only our clients, but the entire industry. So we've had this big effect in Australia, and now we're looking forward to having an equivalent effect in many, many countries in the world, including India.
Understood. So you built all of this from Byron Bay, a surf town, not a Melbourne, not Sydney. Who is Warwick, the man behind the data?
Well, I guess I moved to Byron Bay for a lifestyle decision. I was tired of being stuck in the city all the time and was living a life which was not reflective of my values of being connected to nature. And so that's why I moved to Byron Bay. And that move to Byron, where there wasn't so many jobs in the solar industry back then, was actually what forced me to step out on my own and start my own business. So I'm very grateful for that. Had a great time up there through my 20s and early 30s, and engaging with nature, whether it be surfing up there or I now live in Melbourne on the outskirts in a bushy, leafy blocks, surrounded by the river, the Yarra River on basically all three sides of me. And
Right.
so now if I'm not mountain biking, I'm going for a paddle in the water or just a walk through the bush. So the Warwick is still somebody who's very connected to nature and draws inspiration from that as we go.
So India and Australia have been cricket rivals for years, and is this the same case, Vavik, according to you, in energy as well? Are we falling behind? Are we catching up? You are the man sitting on data, like both the markets very well, and can you share some insights?
Well, look, the Australian cricket team have definitely spent a long time at the top, right? But it's not always the case that we're leading, and especially recently the T20 results point to that, right? But we're certainly beating England, and that's all that really counts. No, I'm joking. Look, it's been really exciting for us to see here. Australia is a world-leading solar economy, and we've still got a long way to go. But it's been really heartening to see that India is accelerating very quickly when it comes to the rollout of solar in your country, and not just as consumers, but also as producers of solar panels. And I've walked around trade shows from Australia to Germany to the UK, and I've seen Indian solar panel manufacturers represented there who have also just been flooded by demand domestically for your products. So, look, I think that the Indian cricket team and the Indian solar panels are a force that's coming up. But it's interesting, of course, a lot of advertisement of brand ambassadors in Australia when it comes to solar power are cricketers. So I think there's something there, perhaps something there in India might be happening out just the same like that.
Okay, and who's the one? I'm just curious to know this. Which cricketer?
You're asking the wrong person there. I can't tell you which one. Sorry, but I know my footballers better and my soccer teams, but I don't. They're holding a cricket bat.
You are absolutely right. I think Australia is probably 5-7 years ahead of us, even in the energy market. And that's why this question is, what can we learn from you? What are the mistakes that you have done, and you sitting there and tell us on our face, on our camera, okay, don't repeat these three things that we did. So can we learn anything from you? Let's say, for example, talk to a CFO of a corporate directly through this camera and tell three things that they should not repeat from your experience.
One key thing to do is to make sure that you're buying product that's not going to fail, because if you do, then it can lead to your business falling over very, very quickly, cleaning up that mess, especially if that brand is no longer represented in the country and pulls out. So you want to find a brand that's committed to the local country and has some big corporate that is multinational, so that you can trust and rely. They'll be there in case something goes wrong, because products have gone wrong in Australia, and some companies have stuck around, some manufacturers have stuck around and sorted those problems out and become the best loved companies in Australia, whereas others have really tarnished the people's experience. So that's definitely something that's, I say, important.
Understood. And can you give some example?
I don't want to name names there of who's done badly, but a company that did well, for example, was Fronius, inverter manufacturer out of Austria, one of Australia's largest from the early days, had a problem with one of their early inverters, and it affected basically their entire range. They hadn't noticed in Austria because it really showed up in Australian coastal conditions, and they sponsored the mass correction of that issue for installers to go out there and fix it and be well paid to do so. And as a result, people were tattooing their brand on their skin. I kid you not. And they become had a whopping great market share, over 30% of the market at one stage, even though they were a premium brand.
Understood. And what is the second thing?
The next thing I'd say is most Australian retailer installers have entered into a race to the bottom. They compete on price and price alone, and that really creates issues. Look, the prices of solar panels have been going down anyway. Prices of batteries are coming down anyway. What you sell will inevitably generate less revenue for your business over time. You don't want to be trying to pitch for the lowest percentile within that already declining revenue slice. However, if you're a business that can sell a service, then you're not competing with every other business that's just putting a sticker price up there and in front of a customer. And so the question is, how can you transform yourself to a service business? How can you have a customer focus first? And this dovetails into the third part of the experience of Australian solar retailers, is that for a long time, people thought of customers as one-shot customers. Hey, this is a product that lasts 25 years. We'll sell it to you once, and we'll never contact you again. And now down the track, we realize, well, actually, they're going to need a bigger system that's now more affordable. Oh, they're going to want to add a battery. Oh, now they want an electric vehicle, a heat pump, etc. And you start to really start morphing into that energy services company. So start treating your customers as customers for life. And when you do so and sell a service, then you have a higher margin that can justify providing them with that extra good experience.
Understood. And let's say before you answer the third one, I'm very curious to know, like, Australia experiences negative grid prices as well, right? Which is not healthy for the grid. India has not been able to reach that stage, or what can we learn from this, especially on this point?
There's the energy market has been incredibly dynamic in Australia, and a lot of resistance was put in front of the solar industry saying you can't possibly get more than this percentage of the grid or things will fall over. And you just keep on pushing that further and further, and you go like, actually, the grid's a lot more able than people were concerned about. But with that, yes, the market changes, the energy market, and you end up with negative prices, get all of this abundance of solar power during the day. And so really that leads to the benefits of having energy storage. And it's now selling energy storage where all the money's made in the Australian solar industry. Part of that, yes, is the rebate that has recently been introduced. But even before that, a lot of businesses were selling batteries with every sale. And you've got great paybacks in India for solar. Often solar does the heavy lifting, but the battery can be where you make the money. So really be looking out for those opportunities, I'd say.
Okay. And can you give me like one simple case study with a number, right? When you say with batteries where you actually make the money, right? So what we are seeing in Indian market, uh, the market is still confused whether they should invest into batteries, not invest into batteries. How will they get the payback? Uh, Things are changing in India, but not at a scale. The shift happened in Australia. So, can if you can give some insight, some numbers that can encourage or can give insights for consumers in India to switch to battery, and that will be helpful.
Yeah, look, SunWiz has some great insight into the dynamics of the Indian market, but some
Okay.
of those structural barriers that you talk about, we're not so familiar with. But where
Okay.
batteries can really start to play out is one, avoided outages and the consequent economic loss of being unable to operate, having to pay all your staff and having perishable goods that die. Well, those are good places for batteries. Once you've got a battery in place, then it's about how many value streams you can attach and attack with it. And so part of that is, yes, just solar self-consumption. So you can have a bigger solar system that instead of sending any energy out to the grid, it gets stored in the battery for later. So you become more self-sufficient. But then batteries are providing energy services in Australia as well, particularly commercial batteries, in order and getting paid for that too. It's quite dynamic. It'll vary by state. It'll vary by application, but there's a lot that batteries can do. And the other thing which has worked in Australia as well has been tariff optimization. So I'm not sure if there's applies in India in different places, but if you can find, there are certain tariffs which are more favorable for batteries. And when you find those, you can, again, take greater control over your own energy destiny and be doing so at a quick economic return.
Understood. So let's say in Australia, when a household or a factory get a $100 bill, right? And so where is that $100 is actually going, and which part can be eliminated through renewable energy? How much of that $100 can be replaced, let's say, for a factory in Australia?
Yeah, for a factory, about of a third goes to fixed charges, about a third goes to energy charges and environmental charges that are based on consumption levels, and about a third goes to peak demand charges. Solar can, so for an industry, solar can address a third of your bill. And then if you want to be starting to address peak demand, solar does that a bit, depending upon your consumption profile. But when you bring batteries in, that can really start to bring that down as well. For a household, it's more like 50% of your energy bill is based on your consumption levels of solar. And the battery then allows you to get more and more solar into your home rather than sending it out to the grid for a very low price.
So in 2017, Elon Musk built the 100 megawatt in 100 days in South Australia. And what changed? It's not in the headlines. What changed on the ground? What happened to that announcement? Where did this project go? Can you share some update on this?
Yeah, that was a landscape changing moment for the Australian energy industry. And yet you look back on it and you go, well, actually, that's pretty small by today's standards. 100 megawatts, 129 megawatt hour. Actually, the battery got upgraded a few years later. And but what was exciting about it was the political buy-in there and the start of, I think it was Mike Cannon-Brookes from Atlassian, Australia's successful tech guys, being involved in changing the Australian conversation about energy. But you look back on that, and not only are there much bigger batteries going in regularly, but 100 megawatts in 100 days. At these times, we're doing 30 megawatts per day, like a gigawatt hour per month, is what the Australian battery industry is doing now on people's homes, and just shows you what you can do when you unleash the forces of all these workers and all these householders and all their money, put it to a task. You can accomplish a lot.
Okay. And like, is this project like shelved off because of the technology change? Which technology change? Is the plan still on, or
Yeah.
what is the status right now?
Yeah, still on, still working. And some of the technology that was involved in deploying that battery has certainly come a long way, but it's been instrumental to learning how to operate batteries well as well.
Okay, understood. And you would have heard about Adani 45 gigawatt, Google's $100 billion investment in India. I'm sure you must be hearing about these news. So, according to you, you guys are 7 years ahead of us, have seen a lot of such announcements, lot of such, experiences. So, is this a threat for a smaller solar installers, smaller solar manufacturers in India?
And those mega batteries are a very distinct set of challenges that most small businesses would struggle to address. But there's still plenty of opportunities for those small businesses to go out and do lots and lots of installations on commercial and industrial and for householders. So, but it's very exciting to hear those major projects that are coming about in India. I'm looking forward to India succeeding not only in manufacturing panels, but also manufacturing batteries, energy storage systems as well at scale. I feel like Chinese do a great job of it, but it'd be wonderful to have some choice there. And India seems like a very strong partner of Australia's in so many ways. So we'd love to be buying your gear.
Okay. And like, if you have to talk to any manufacturer through this video, what do you want to tell them? How's the Australian market for them? Uh, like, I know these Chinese installers and module manufacturers dominates that market. And is there a scope for Indian manufacturer to enter Australia? And um what could be their go-to-market strategy? Which region, which area, which people they should talk first so that it's easy to enter for them?
So the Australian battery boom will continue on until 2030. And so there's still a very big opportunity here that remains in Australia. Yes, there is, it's a hotly contested market. It's dominated by Chinese brands, but yet what we've seen here at SunWiz has been a significant change of which brands are most strongly adopted. That's taken place in just a matter of months. And so there's certainly opportunities to come to the market and gain a foothold and grow from there. So I welcome you to come and chat to us about how we can support your market entry. But as you were saying, which people to be engaging with. We have a big community here of Indian people, as well as a long shared heritage. I went to Gallipoli on Anzac Day and thought that naively that I would be standing just with Australians and Kiwis, but there are a lot of people from India there as well. So it goes beyond cricket. And so there's a cultural affinity there and a way of a common understanding. So I think Indian brands would have a good success here.
Okay. So in Australia, many industrial consumers run on renewable plus storage round the clock solutions. Um, and like for example, one of our consumer based in chemical industry, they pay roughly um, roughly around 250 crore annual electricity bill, and but their burning problem is, according to the state regulations, um, and because the storage solutions are not commercially very attractive as of now in India, so they are not able to replace that 256 crore entirely, probably the portion of it. And what can they learn from this industrial consumer who has already done it in Australia? What are the three things that they can take away? Um, uh, Not as an aspiration, but as a reality.
So what we've seen happen with commercial industrial batteries in Australia, and to be frank, it's still very early days for C&I battery market. We're actually will be including a expanded section on that in our annual report on the battery market.
Hmm.
What we see is it's still early days in Australia for C&I batteries. What has benefited batteries in Australia has been, firstly, the businesses that put it on can put on a larger solar system because they're not constrained by, you can't export any power. So they're able to build bigger systems, bigger solar, because they've got can store it on site and then use it later. So deeper penetration of solar energy and improved green credentials. But the second thing which has really unlocked C&I in Australia is the ability for those batteries to have a market-facing role, where they can provide a service to the business of reducing its own demand and its own managing its own energy, at the same time as facing the market and addressing some of the frequency control markets, like the short-term volatility, essentially providing a service to the grid that is for which there is a market in Australia. So there's a couple of value stacking approaches that really can unlock the benefit of batteries.
Okay. So in India, a solar PPA, power purchase agreement, is generally for 20 or 22 to 25 years. And, most of the marriages also don't last that much time. And how has been the situation in Australia? What do you advise people to read in power purchase agreement before they sign it?
What has been most successful with power purchase agreements has been driving down the tenure, how long they are. Every bit of extension, if you had to go up to 25 years, raises the risk profile and therefore raises the amount of insurance you need and raises the lending cost. And so that tends to end up with you actually not being able to offer power that much cheaper. And so if you can work out terms that work over 5 or 10 years, then you are able to unlock a new market. What we've seen in Australia is not necessarily with PPAs, but with some financed solar systems, they're able to achieve payback in under 5 years. And that's the common period of a lease in Australia. And so you'll often have people saying, I'll have a 5-year lease, but with a 5-year automatic renewal period. If you can get solar on and it pays for itself within somebody's lease, then people are generally happy to put it on, knowing there's a decent chance they'll have a second bite at the cherry. And if not, it still has some value to on sell. So however you can, bring down the term, bring down the tenure.
Like you said, one of the mistakes that we can avoid is to shortlist the right installer or a product provider. And imagine a consumer in India or in Australia has 5 installers in front of them, all look identical, all share the same PPT, same brochure. What are the three ways to shortlist them? What are the three things insightful to look at, which is not on the face, but you can dig it out, and you advise people to dig it out?
One of the key things is that it's not necessarily about the brands that the consumer is choosing. My advice for consumers is, first and foremost, choose your solar retailer and choose the retailer well, and use the brands that they offer. Now, it's difficult if the solar installers all look the same, they haven't done a very good job of differentiating themselves. But so the question comes back to, well, how can solar installers do a good job of differentiating themselves? After all,
Okay.
they're selling a commodity, solar panels, that's displacing another commodity, electricity. And so
Right.
we go back to become a service business. But for a consumer to help evaluate which are the best solar installers to go for, there's a bit of personal choice in that. In that, do you want to go for a local small operation where you'll have personal connection with the person that's going to put it on your roof, or do you want to go for an operation that has much better processes and smooth things out? That's up to the individual. But one thing that's really important and shows itself up in Australia, in fact, we have an award program that recognises the top rated retailers. So who gets the most best responses, customer reviews across multiple different review platforms. So that's a key thing. The other aspect as a consumer and as an installer is often, who do you tap your network? Like, go for word of mouth, get referrals from the people that that you're friends with, right? And if you're an installer, you should also be having a referral program in place and treating your customers as not just, I'll sell you something once and never speak to you again, but as the source for your future business, particularly business that is where you don't have to compete with 20 other solar installers and therefore can have a healthier, more sustainable margin.
Understood. Understood. So, this is slightly on this topic itself. In India, we have seen the installation quality is very critical in terms of, especially at the industrial roof, um, the um, the fencing around the panels, and the electrons movement, cabling, etc. And we have instances of the roof being fired because solar panel burst out and it was not properly designed. And do you have similar kind of stories in Australia as well? What happened? What did you learn? And if you have to share one or two learnings with us on such instances.
Yeah, look, I'm not an expert on solar panel fires. There certainly have been some in Australia, and you go and investigate their faults and try to address them. The Australian standards do a decent job of addressing the worst possible outcomes, and yet, if you get an arcing event on the roof, it's very hard to extinguish. So the quality of the panels and the quality of those connections become critical. But I'm sure there's a much more detailed answer to that if you ask an expert on that topic.
Okay, understood. So, no, thank you so much, Vavik. So, um, to make the moment, to know you better, the man behind the data. So we have curated some of the rapid fire questions, and this is thought provoking. But I want to take a commitment from you. You will not skip any one of this and give your honest, authentic answer. Can you?
Well, I'll do my best. Go ahead.
Yeah, but these are very thought provoking. So I need whatever comes to your mind. So you have to give an answer. So shall we start
Go
with
ahead.
happy high energy? Okay, awesome. So, solar or wind? Your personal 20-year bet. One word.
Solar.
And why? One reason.
Everyone loves a sunny day, and you
Okay.
can, and also you can put it anywhere.
Yes, I agree with you. No, yeah, that's because wind has constraint. I agree. Um, Second one, India versus Australia in renewable energy right now. Who is managing the transition better? And don't talk as an Australian. Talk honestly.
I'll say Australia because it's rapid fire, and the answer is because although I've got some good facts and figures on who's got the leading market share in India, I don't have that broader perspective of how your overall transition's going. But Geez,
But
in terms of
whatever you're seeing according to your experience.
in terms of who the leading manufacturers are and all that sort of thing, or is that what you're asking?
No,
Or
in overall transition,
oh,
because both of the countries are transitioning to renewable energy for a purpose,
yep,
right? So that's this
yep.
transition from traditional coal and gas and oil driven energy security to renewable energy driven. Who, according to you, is handling the transition better?
Happy to note India's ambition and where it's heading. That's fantastic. I wish we had that much ambition, and wish we had more manufacturing in Australia. But that aside, I think Australia's done and is doing a great job, probably a better job because we're further along. There's already days where our entire one entire state is not only fully powered by solar, but it's fully powered by rooftop solar. So
Hmm.
I think we're well ahead on that.
Okay. And the most dangerous myth about solar energy that you know of, one sentence only.
That it's intermittent and unpredictable. I think that it's once you get distributed energy across an entire city, then you actually start to see a great deal of diversity control, smoothing effects happening as well. So it's the myth is that it's uncontrolled and uncontrollable, but now when you look at Australia, we already see that networks have got those backstop mechanisms that allow them to go and say you can safely roll out as much as you want of this, and we'll
Hmm.
handle those edge cases.
Okay. Uh, Byron based Sunday morning or Melbourne Sunday morning? Which do you miss?
I miss Byron Bay Sunday morning, but I miss it like I miss not having the responsibilities of being a father. I feel like there's a great deal of pleasure in watching my son's soccer match that I wouldn't trade for.
Okay. Uh, One number from your data that every Indian CFO, which means the corporate sitting right now, needs to hear. Just the number, one number. Most insightful.
So how do I pull one number out of all of this data? I You want a rapid question answer to that?
That's what rapid fire questions does.
It's hard. Like, okay, my answer is that market share is the product of number of installers using you, how much they install you within their portfolio, and customer loyalty. And that produces market share over time. And we measure each of these things, and we can compare Wari, Adani, Vikram, all of that sort of stuff, right? Of all of those numbers, people often focus on getting more installers to use their product. And the issue with that is that often then they're missing out on the opportunity to not only get their existing customers to do more of their business, but to also get that happening over time. So the most important number that businesses should know is what's my product loyalty? What's my percentage of volume which is coming from repeat business? Because that's what
Understood.
sets you up for sustainable market share. I'm sorry, it's a long answer, but it's the truth.
Understood. Understood. No, thank you for sharing that. And the next one is Elon Musk 100-day battery bet in South Australia. Be honest, it was an energy genius game or gambler who got lucky?
Look, I think if you like or Elon Musk or not, you've got to admire that he can get a lot done in a very short period of time. So I think there's a mixture of genius and gambler there, but I think it's a safe bet to bet that something quick can happen and pretty impressive. So let's just say all of the above.
Okay, all right. Safe answer, but good answer. Let's move to the next one. Um, Biggest mistake solar industry ever made globally? Go, tell me.
Making panels so cheap that you can't make any money off them. I guess it's a victim of its own success. Let's put it that way. And so, it's over investing in the manufacturing so far ahead of what the demand is.
So this, according to you, like which country did it?
Well, China's been the one which has funded it, and they've done that for strategic reasons, but I think they've probably got ahead of themselves.
Okay, understood. And if Warwick has to live in India for 1 year, which city and why?
I don't know my Indian cities well enough, but I do hear some nice things about your beaches, and so perhaps from my time up in Byron Bay when I was a bit of a hippie. So maybe the beach, but maybe the mountains. I don't know, mate. One day I'll give you a proper answer to that.
Okay, but if you still have to answer, which one? You don't know any city or any guess that you want to take?
Then I'll say Delhi because it's a city I know, right?
Sorry, what did you say?
If I have to give you an answer, I'll say Delhi because it's a city I know.
Coming to a serious one, and that I really want your answer from your heart and mind both. So, one piece of advice that you have to give to a young entrepreneur starting in India in a solar industry, your 20 years of experience, what is the one piece of advice that you can give them? And why I'm asking you, because one, you have done it, cracked it, and second, the Australia is 7 years ahead of us in terms of energy market. So I want to know from you, what can you tell these young starting entrepreneur in solar or renewable energy space today?
I think it's a fascinating time to be starting a business in solar. I think AI is going to be a major disruption and a major opportunity across the world and across even our industry. I would be looking to say, okay, what can I do that I can scale considerably backed by AI? That would be the market entry strategy right now, and there's plenty of opportunities or answers within that. But I can't point to exactly which one it is. But the other side of it is, there's going to be a lot of energy demand from data centers, and so I think as much as we're going to be disrupted by AI, it's like if you can be involved in the energy supply of AI, I think you're well positioned.
The advice that you're essentially giving to these young entrepreneurs is to look at the intersection of renewable energy, intersection of AI, and intersection of data center.
Correct.
And what would be that intersection? How would you name it according to you?
For me, the answer there is some kind of energy service that is coupled between some on-site generation, but there needs to be more than you can generate on-site. So how do you provide a service that is safe, reliable, secure, but also green and cheap?
Understood. The last one and the most real vulnerable one. And if you have to define Warwick Johnston in one word, and not Woracle, not the data guy, the real Warwick, what would be that we don't know of yet?
Oh, I don't know the answer, but it's stirring something deep within me, right? The answer which comes to mind immediately is beyond. And the reason for that is because I have a mission, an ambition that draws from things that are beyond myself, beyond the solar industry. It's the inspiration, but I believe there are much bigger things than me in this world, and that are there to draw inspiration from and to be influenced by and to play a part of, if you like. So the word is beyond. It's not a perfect answer, but it's the one which comes now.
Okay, awesome, Warwick. With this, we come to a close of this podcast, and thank you so much for being part of this. And I really thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, and looking forward to stay in touch.
Yeah, likewise. And Gaurav, I look forward to meeting you in person one of these days soon.